guys, lovely to be here, to be speaking to you on this platform. It certainly is not a platform that I am accustomed to speaking on. So I thank the people in the background for doing all this work to make this presentation possible. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're going to have a look at a slide, the next slide in the presentation. And what I would like you to notice when the slide comes on is that there will be a lady looking through, or a woman looking through a sliding door. Now, this was literally the way that psychic work happened for me, or intuitive work happened for me. I nursed for, as Mark said, for 27 years, but in my last few years of nursing, I was deciding on a change of career, and I became uncomfortable in the hospital with patients being a diagnosis, and I just needed to look at something more holistic. So I was trying to decide what I was going to do as my next step. And I didn't know whether I was going to study metaphysics, which was the thing that interested me, or if I was going to do hypnotherapy, which was the other thing that interested me. So sitting on my couch, looking through my sliding door, not at this beautiful view that we are seeing over here, but at the view of my front patio, I noticed, so my question was, what to do from here. I can't decide which course I want to do and what course do I need to do. And I said, please, guys, give me some indication. Just let me know if metaphysics is the thing that I need to do. So I'm looking out the glass door and the sliding door, and I see on the other side of the sliding door two men. And these two men are busy breaking into my house. Obviously, the men weren't there. I was seeing them in my mind's eye. And then behind me in this field of vision, I could see my wall clock, and the wall clock said 1 a.m. And somehow I had a feeling that 1 a.m. would be the time that this would happen, since the symbology was so very clear. So I went to bed after checking the doors, the windows, said to my partner at the time, is the alarm on? Is the door locked? He still said to me, what is going on with you? And I said, no, just checking. So off to sleep I went, and woke up with an alarm, my home alarm ringing, and looked at the clock, and the clock said 1 o'clock. And somehow I knew that there were two men trying to break into the house, which was exactly what had happened. And that was the beginning of my awareness that the guides could speak to me so clearly, and that my psychic abilities were actually quite intact. No course, no instruction of any sort had happened before this, and I just needed to go with my gut feel that this was the thing that I needed to do. So it was a little bit of an aha moment, a bit of a shocking aha moment, but surely an aha moment. I knew that I need to go and do the metaphysics, which I then enrolled for, and this started a journey of discovery that brings me to where I am today. So yes, please do listen to these little voices. They tell you a hell of a lot about life and what you can expect from it. In the next slide, we are going to be looking at subtle energies. So I'm just waiting for the next slide to come on. There we go. So first of all, we see an image of a woman, and there is an aura surrounding her. And this aura seems to come up in many different colors. It seems to be shaped in a certain way. What I want to say to you all is that we all have an energy field surrounding our physical body. So we've got this physical body, and then outside of this physical body is our non-physical energy body. And that is what we are looking at over here. We're also looking on the right-hand side of the screen. We're looking at the aura that surrounds a leaf. Now, every object on Earth has an aura, whether it is an inanimate object or not. It has this auric field surrounding it. And The auric field can tell us about the quality of the energy of that being. It can tell us where we have indentations in the energy field, that there's a weakness there, where we are not protected. So looking at a client and understanding what the auric field of a client looks like tells me a lot about the things that are happening with that person. We speak about you protect your aura, and then people do this thing about protecting their aura in whichever way they can protect an aura. Doing this is all good and well, but I've noticed that when people protect their auras, if I have a look at that aura to see what it looks like and if it's strong, there's certain places that they have protected less. Commonly the back of the legs, so the back of the knees and the ankle areas, they don't seem to protect, which means that energies that are of a low vibration can enter this aura. So if you were looking at that woman standing there and you could see her full body, she would have this very strong auric field across the head, but going down, it could become weaker and weaker. So what I'm saying over here is that basically we need to ensure that our auras are strong and that our auras are well-rounded and protected. So my story in all of this is that whilst I was studying metaphysics, I was really struggling to see energies. And one morning, I went downstairs. It was very early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, went down into my dining room to collect something and switched on the light. And around the light was this beautiful, beautiful aura. Well, I got such a shock when I saw it. I quickly switched off the light. I thought, oh, no, why am I seeing that thing? Of course, I pulled myself towards myself and very easily and quickly decided that this is exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted to see. And I did switch the light on again, and there was no aura because I had moved into a linear thought pattern. I'd gone out of this slightly dreamy thought pattern that I was in. And what I decided to do is I decided to draw what I thought I had seen. Now, my drawing capability sort of extends to sick men. So the picture that I drew, which I had kept and was tempted to actually have on the slide, I decided that I wouldn't do it because it's very, very amateurish. But seeing that aura was the start of me seeing auras in color. So around electrical equipment, if I look out of my window at night and I live in Hout Bay and I see the light over Hout Bay, I see this beautiful fairyland of lights and of color that are created by the aura from all the lights. However, when I look at the human aura, I don't see color. I see different variations of brown and of gray and of black. So this is what I am seeing when I look at auras in general. The auras will be very specific around the leaf or around the tree. Interestingly, some people might not find this interesting, but as a nurse I do, when a person has had an amputation, when they've taken a photograph using Kirlian photography, that leg has actually still been there. So the amputation is of the lower leg. When you look at the picture, what you actually see is the aura as if the leg is still there. In other words, the body's still identifying the energy field of that limb. So I'd like you all just for a moment to have a look at your hand. So you look at your hand against a neutral background. And as you're looking at the hand, what you notice, and most of you I'm sure will see this, is like a small little outline, 3-4 millimeter outline, all around the hand, all around the fingers. So this is what you are looking for, and this is how you would identify the first layer of the aura. And we all have this ability to see this. So that night that I was standing looking through the sliding door, the last thing that I expected was to have people breaking into my house. But I stood in a space of expectation that I would be able to see the energy. And this is what I'm asking of you this evening. As you're looking at your hand and you are identifying that small little auric field around your hand, be in a space of expectation to actually see this energy. Now, I've alluded to the fact that I don't see color around an energy field when I'm looking at humans. Colors represent different things to different people. So to one therapist, seeing the color blue may mean, let's say, open-heartedness. To another person, the color blue could mean mental strength. So it would just really and truly depend on what your interpretation of color is. You know, color is just purely a vibration. So when we're looking at the vibration of a color, I equate it to the density of a color that I see in a human aura. As far as animals are concerned, I see it very much the same. It is only around inanimate objects that I see the color. Maybe one day I will be blessed to be able to see colors around the human energy form also. Also, I've mentioned, be in expectation to be able to see the colors or to see the energy around anything that you are looking at. But do this in 3 different ways. So when we are looking and identifying subtle energy, you do it with one's eyes wide open, so the eyes staring and looking. You do it with soft eyes, and then you can also do it with closed eyes. So some people, sounds really odd, but some people see better with closed eyes, obviously with an open third eye, but with closed physical eyes, whereas other people are able to see with eyes wide open. I'm more inclined to be able to see with my eyes closed. I sense energy more effectively with my eyes closed versus having my eyes open. So you can ask yourself this: how do you, if you are one of those people that see energy, how do you see the energy? Do you see it in color? What do colors mean to you? Guys, we all have the ability to do this. I'm not blessed in any way. You know, again and again, people say to me, when did you realize you had this gift? It is a gift that we all have. Each and every one of us have this gift. The yogis say that if we are not working with 60% minimum of our capacity of intuition, that we may just as well not be alive. I mean, it's as serious as that. So please, can you all just try and be in an open space and a space of expectation in order to see the energy field around a specific object? I would now like us to move into a short meditation that I would like to take you through. It is a guided meditation, so I will be speaking you through the meditation. For those of you that are not comfortable meditators, you're just going to sit quietly, you're going to listen to what I have to say, and allow any images, any thoughts, any feelings to come through. That anything that means anything to you. Again, be in a space of expectation. You know, when we ask each other questions, we ask these questions expecting somebody to reply. It's exactly the same thing. So the meditation is going to speak about releasing limitation. So just for this moment, take a second to think about what are the limitations that you have placed upon yourself or society has placed upon you, which stand in the way of you being able to be intuitive, be psychic. So for most people, it goes about a fear of being wrong, a fear of being ridiculed, judged. There's so many reasons that people hold fear in this regard. You know, I believe that millions of people, women specifically, were murdered around the time of the Spanish Inquisition, and it all has to do with doing exactly what we are talking about this evening. So okay, so the meditation, I'd like you to be comfortable wherever you are sitting or lying. You just make sure that you are warm enough, that you are not only comfortable where you are sitting, but you are actually feeling comfortable in your own space. In other words, there's nobody that's going to come and disturb you. And whoever might come and disturb you is welcome to do so. Like my cats, they're always welcome to come into my meditation. Okay. So taking a deep breath in and out, a breath in for nothing, a breath out for nothing. I invite you to go into a sacred space in nature. A sacred space could be a place that you know, or a place that you create in your mind's eye. Take in the beauty of the space. Take in the detail of the space. The smells, the sounds, the textures. Become aware of your feet. Each toe, the ball of your foot, each foot, your heels firmly rooted into the earth. Be one with the earth. As you breathe, you're allowing Mother Earth energy to enter your body, to infiltrate every part of your physical and non-physical body. At the same time, becoming aware of energy coming from the heavens, cascading down. Cascading down through the top of your head, mixing and mingling with Mother Earth energy. These thousands of droplets of sunlight cascading over your head and all the way down over your shoulders and your body, protecting you in this golden mantle of light. In this beautiful protective space, you find a place to sit in your sacred space. Start bringing your attention to your breath. I would like you to breathe through your nose to the count of 4. Holding for the count of 4. Breathing out through the partially open mouth to the count of 6. Letting go of any of these limitations that you might be feeling or experiencing. 4 in, hold for 4, and out for 6. Releasing fears, criticism, disappointment. Releasing, releasing. Keep on going with that breath, letting go. letting go of it all. Pour in, hold for 4, and out for 6. And allowing this to be your last cycle of breath before bringing your attention to your heart. As you bring this attention to your heart, I invite you to open it as if you are opening a door. You're opening your heart to welcome your personal guide, a guide that can help you on this journey. And for those of you that already work with guides, you may take this opportunity to ask your guide what you can do in order to become the best intuitive person, the best you can ever be. So you are in your sacred space, the heart is open. You start hearing a little sound approach. It's great excitement. And within your meditation, you become aware of somebody standing in front of you. This somebody could be a person, an animal, could be an energy. Whatever it is, allow your heart to welcome this being. Open your heart to experience the togetherness with your guide. Take the time to ask any questions that you may wish to ask. Listen closely. It is now time to take your leave, but before you do that, you thank your guide. You thank your guide for coming to meet you, for being there to share this experience with you. And you know that from this moment onwards, all you need to do is to call your guide, to know that you will have the assistance of somebody right at your side, somebody whom you can trust, whom can walk this journey with you forevermore. You find yourself back in your sacred space, having a last look around this beautiful space. And you know that you can return to this space whenever you wish. Your personal magic garden. You start coming back into the present, into the here and now, moving your fingers and toes, rubbing your thumbs up against your fingers, waking the body up, taking a deep breath and exhaling as you bring yourself completely back into the present. And open your eyes when you are ready. I do really hope that all of you received some insight in that meditation, and look forward to some feedback on the chat group regarding it. Who came to meet you? Was it not a person? Was it an energy? How did you experience your guides? If there was a guide that you already were working with, were there any profound messages that you received in that meditation? So we're now going to go on to the next slide, which is an image of brainwaves. So when you have a look at this very simple diagram of brainwaves, we are looking at hertz or cycles per second, and we're looking at four different brainwave cycles. The first brainwave being the beta brainwave that we are looking at right over here, which happens between 15 and 30 hertz a second. And this is where we are awake. This is where we are in a space of linear thinking, where we are fully conscious. And I'm not speaking as in aware conscious. I'm speaking about knowing what's going on around us, that type of conscious. So that is for a beta brainwave. So we are probably sitting in beta at this moment. When we were meditating a little while ago, a couple of minutes ago, we were hopefully in alpha brainwave. And just to go back to beta again, beta brainwaves are divided into two different sections. So we've got high beta and then we've got beta. High beta is where you are stressed, where you have no memory of something happening in your life, and there's often panic and stress in that space. When we get to beta, we have, as I mentioned, normal linear thinking, and when we are learning, we should be in a beta brainwave. Now, when we are meditating and when we are connecting with spirit, we aim towards being in the alpha brainwave, which is between 9 and 14 hertz. And here we are relaxed, we are calm. There's a light meditative state that goes on. Guys, if you are all uptight in life, the guides don't speak to us like this. So if this is our brainwave going here, this is their brainwave going there, we're going to go right past one another and we're not going to be able to hear what they have to share with us. However, if we come into alpha, the guides are going to be able to communicate with us. It's like two people that are tuning in to an AM radio station. We're going to hear each other on that radio station versus the FM and the AM, and never shall the twain meet. So it's really important to be able to go into a quiet space within one's mind, and to be in a calm space in order to be fully intuitive. We don't get messages. We don't feel the information that we should be feeling when we are in beta, and definitely not in high beta. So I encourage you to really work on being in a calm, relaxed state as often as you possibly can. And then wonderful meditations happen in theta. Some people, even in delta, have the most amazing experiences of deep, deep meditation. In my personal view, this is not where my intuition works best. My intuition works best when I am just simply quiet within myself and not panicky about things. And in that way, picking up information. So the evening that I saw the image through my sliding doors, I was open and in expectation and in a calm space in order to see that image that I saw, which then became the message that yes, this is what I need to go and study. So an understanding of the brain waves will definitely give you some idea of where your mind should be in order to pick up information very, very clearly. So alpha brainwave is what we are aiming at. Also a fantastic brainwave as far as healing is concerned, your own personal healing and the healing of others. So just understanding that you do need to be in a slightly quieter state, not an altered state. There's no need to be going under the Bodhi tree for 21 days in order to get here. Just be quiet within your mind, and you'll be amazed at how much you can pick up. Because our guides speak to us in so many different and interesting ways. They'll speak to us through maybe a message on a lamppost. So you're not sure what you are to do in a certain situation. You're driving up the road and you see this message on the lamppost that says maybe be calm. Everybody be calm. And then you going along and the radio's on and you hear a song that speaks about being calm. Well, your guides are trying to speak to you and they're trying to give you these messages for your intuition to be able to act upon. Please be in an open space in order to get these messages as you need to get messages. Rightio, so I think we're ready to move to our next slide, which is going to be a slide that is going to show you and what an energy ball looks like. And I'd like us to play with this energy ball for a moment, because we can all feel energy. We just have to believe that we can feel the energy. So over here, the heading is see energy. When people ask me how I perceive energy, I say I feel it, because I actually feel it, but I feel it in a picture. And I think until you've actually got to that space, you won't really know how you perceive energy. This guy, I think it's a guy's hands, is holding an energy ball. And what I want us to do now is just to play a little bit with this energy. So I'd like you to take your hands. And for some of you, this might be something that you did 20 years ago and that you know so well. It still remains fun. After all this time, I still enjoy playing with the energy. So I would like you to hold your hands about 30 centimeters apart. And then first of all, start becoming aware of the feeling just inside your hands. Just inside the hands. And then I want you to start bringing your hands slowly towards one another. Very, very slowly. And as you do this, you're going to become aware of a resistance between the hands. And at some stage, you're not even going to be able to bring your hands closer to one another because the resistance is going to be so great. Feel that energy. Now allow that energy ball to become bigger as your hands spread further apart. Feel it. Experience it. Your eyes might be able to see it, or your body might be able to feel it, For most people, the sensation is happening between your hands. So getting back to the title of this talk, Am I Psychic? Believe me, if you can feel this, you pretty much are. Play with this energy of this ball. Now you're going to be holding this. And as you hold this energy ball, you're going to do some little crazy thing. I want you to throw it up in the air and catch it. And then you're going to feel the energy ball again. And when you've got this energy ball well formed between your hands, throw it up again and catch. And there it is. Now, I'm sure that there's some of you out there going, well, how will I know that this is not my imagination? How will I know that this is just not my ego wanting to experience this? Well, the line between the imagination, sorry, you can put your hands together, unless you're enjoying holding your energy ball. The line between the imagination and intuition is a hairbreadth thin. It is the thinnest little division. In the beginning, I found that if I just went, it doesn't matter if I'm imagining it. I'm choosing to imagine it, and it's fine. And with confidence and over time, and certainly when people say to you, that thing that you said, that you shared with me, that bit of your intuition that was so accurate, you will grow to accept and to trust the information that you get. And it does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. It does take time. So if you're asking if it's your ego, it doesn't matter if it's your ego. In the beginning, just play with the energy. Notice how often your intuition is correct. Notice how often people say, thank you for that good advice. And slowly but surely, your intuition will become stronger and stronger as you develop this deep trust within yourself and also a trust towards your guide and the stuff that your guide, the information that your guide is sharing with you. Rightio, on to our next slide. We're going to look at the different senses over here. So in front of you, you have a non-anatomical representation of the brain. Please, this is not an anatomical representation at all. It is purely here to explain why some people receive information in a different way to another person. Now, I receive information via a gut feel. So we call that clairsentience. I am more clairsentient than what I am anything else. I sense information within my body. And the information that I'm sensing then becomes that thing that I am perceiving. For somebody that is, like with myself, I nursed for all those years, sensing was probably the easiest thing for me to do. For somebody who's a chef, you might find that that person receives their information through taste. You might find that an artist receives information through sight. So all of these senses that we receive are senses that are our strongest form of intuition. And that's the one thing that we use the most. In other words, the one part of our brain that has developed the most, that is rich in experience. So the physical ed teacher, for instance, is going to be more inclined to feel the information in the physical body, whereas the musician is going to be able to hear information. So we call all of these the clairs: clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvision, clairvoyance, clairambience, clairambience. All these senses that come to us come from different parts of our brains that are more developed than other parts. And then you'll see at the bottom of that slide, it says 0-point field, where we are all connected. So the 0-point field speaks very much about the connection to one another in this thing which I call the quantum vat of soup. So it's like we are all in this vat of soup, and we are all connected to one another in this vat of soup. And the information is traveling in the soup between us. So when I'm picking up information about somebody else's aura, it is in this quantum vat of soup that happens through the cerebellum, which is the 0-point field. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. So our different senses, the senses of smell, sight, hearing, taste, and touch. It's always interesting for me to take note about how I got the information. So as an animal communicator, for instance, how did I get that information that Snoopy's leg was sore? Well, I felt it in my own leg. I felt it in my own body, and that is how I knew that Snoopy's leg was sore. But if I was getting my information through hearing, I could perhaps have heard Snoopy say, but my leg is sore. For some people, they can taste disease process. For some people, certain tastes will be symbolic of certain situations. So you may have somebody who says, I could smell roses. And whenever I smell roses, I think about my gran. Well, there's another form of intuition. Or I could smell apple tart or baking biscuits or something like that. And in that way, the intuition is working. One of the world's most renowned animal communicators, Amelia Kincaid, she actually tastes disease process. So the symbolism that we work with can come through any of these senses. So you may see a picture for what it actually is, but you may also see a picture which is symbolic. You may hear something or a message that's exactly as it is, but it may also be symbolic. So all of these senses have both the real and the symbolic meaning attached to both of them. And it's just to be to all of them. And it's just to be aware of how you get your information. I was most interested years ago when I was studying metaphysics to realize that when I was speaking to those that had passed over, the information came to me through my left ear. When I was speaking to those and obviously hearing their replies of beings that were alive, the information was coming through my right ear. And it was just a little aha moment for me where I went, fancy that. This is different. So please do think about it. Think about how do you get your information? Where does your most accurate information come from? And then once you have developed that basket of skill around, let's say, sight, then you start looking at the other aspects. The sense maybe within your own body as to what you are feeling, which would tell you something about the person that's standing opposite you. And we've all had experience like this before, where you're standing in a supermarket queue. I'm not speaking at the moment with social distancing, but when you're standing in a supermarket queue and somebody stands too close to you and you get that feeling, well, that is a form of intuition. Or when you walk past somebody and you just get this is not a nice type of feeling, another form of intuition. On the other hand, when you walk into a room and you see something that is happy and you're feeling happy within yourself, this is all intuition. And I don't think that there's a single one of us that can say that we've never, ever experienced that. This is a matter of working on the different senses and getting the strength built to be able to use the whole package of senses. And after 25 years of doing this work, I can tell you that I still don't do much smelling and I still don't do much tasting. And I like food, so it's quite annoying that I'm restricted in that way. But I'm most fortunate to be able to hear, see and feel a lot of the information. So I think we can move to our next slide. So over here, there's a story to tell. Those of us that are older will remember in our parents' homes and definitely in our grandparents' homes, we all had these flying ducks up against the walls. And I can't remember as a child going into anybody's house that didn't have flying ducks against the wall. Little did I know that many years later I would actually be speaking about these ducks. So the story goes like this. My teacher of metaphysics had been doing readings for years and years and years. And most of the information that she received was verbal. And then one day she was doing a reading for somebody, and what she saw in her reading was these 3 ducks in a row. And she said to her guide, "What are you showing me? I don't understand the symbolism. It doesn't tie in with the question that I'm asking. What are you showing me?" And she says that the guides laughed and they said, "Ah, silly, just get your ducks in a row." So that is absolutely how simple the messaging can be. You know, I mean, how come we didn't get that message that you just have to get your ducks in a row? In this case, I think that they're geese, they're not ducks, but there was the message for you. So if we move, excuse me, if we move on to the next slide, you will see some bottles. I think it's symbol number 2. There we go. So this is my personal story. Back to the bottles again. When I was working on a symbol dictionary, which is something that I think we should all be working on if we do want to develop a language from spirit in order to use as our intuitive messages. My symbol for financial prosperity came up as a bottle. Now, if we look at the bottle that is on the furthest left, so on the left side, that bottle that is nice and round. For those of you that like wine, I think Grünberger Stein comes in a bottle like that, or shaped like that. That shaped bottle within a intuitive message would tell me that for a time of your life, bearing in mind that the top of the bottle to me is the beginning of your life, there will be a time where money doesn't flow as easily. And it will be while you are young, so it really and truly doesn't matter. Money doesn't have to flow that easily when we are not earning it ourselves. But there's a nice fat belly that is developed on this bottle and right down to the bottom. So my understanding of the symbol would be that this person would be financially sorted out as they get older and as they start earning more money. If we take that bottle that's got the cork, that is quite symbolic to me of, first of all, there are 2 things. I mean, only now that I'm looking at this bottle am I actually seeing that there's a cork in the top, which within a messaging system would tell me that there is already something that is stopping the flow of energy. I might not look at it and go, okay, so there's a complete stopping the energy. But what I'm actually getting as we are talking now is that if I saw that symbol again, I would think that you have come into a lifetime where karmically you are being faced with a type of karma that goes around money, that goes around financial prosperity. So right from the word go, from the very beginning, there was something that came there. Then the bottle is narrow, but it has those indentations, those bubbles and indentation, bubble and indentation as it goes along. That speaks to me about money that does not flow, about financial prosperity that does not flow. So it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. And so we have that situation. So something as simple as a bottle would tell me a lot about that which is happening in somebody else's life. Funny enough, I've actually never ever looked at my own life and my own issues of financial prosperity. And I certainly will do so. Just as a matter of interest, I will have a look at it and see. So there's an example of how we can use such symbolism to tell us about a situation. And for you, it could be something completely different. For you, it could be a basin of water. It could be words. It could be the smell of, and I'm absolutely thumb-sucking all of this, but the smell of frankincense versus the smell of vetiver, which could tell you something about that person or your own prosperity or sense of prosperity. So it's really and truly absolutely an individual messaging system. And for myself, it was very important in the beginning to write it down, to write what this meant to me. When the guides gave me these symbols, to ask them, what are you telling me over here? What is this about? And then from there, being able to embroider and embellish information, or more information from that which I'm seeing. So if we go on to the next slide of the apple, this is also my story, which I can tell you. When I think about relationships, when I ask about relationships, when I ask about information for myself and for my clients regarding information and regarding relationships, I see an apple. So the apple on the left of the screen looks beautiful and glossy and whole and complete. And I would, if I looked at that apple, I would say that the relationship is a good relationship. If I look at the apple in the middle of the screen, I see a whole chunk being bitten out of that relationship. I then would want to ask, what is it that happened within this relationship where you felt a chunk of yourself being ripped away? And then the apple on the right-hand side, just a rotten apple, therefore a rotten relationship. So there's my other example of how I would receive information as far as symbolism is concerned. Remember that symbols are personal to each person. So I'm not that hot on using a symbol dictionary written by somebody else who says an apple always means relationship. A blue bottle always means financial prosperity. This is something that you need to work on yourself and something that you will use for the rest of your days. If you are a person who uses vision as a symbol. If you, as mentioned earlier on, are a person that uses sound, it might be the sound of a song. It might be the smell of something that would give you information about that being or yourself. And then lastly, I'd like to move to the last slide. So in conclusion, what is this and why are we bothering to look at the subject at all? First of all, to unlock our spiritual awareness. You know, in the Aquarian age, there is very little that is more important than opening our hearts towards ourselves and others. And in order to do this, we need to raise our personal vibration. We also need to unlock that spiritual awareness in order to raise the personal vibration. So plenty of work, well, plenty of people with a lot of work to do, since many of us, in fact, most of us, apparently 80% of us are spiritually unaware. So a lot of work to do, and I would say start today. Let meditation that we did earlier on be the foundation of a journey that you can take forward and use your intuition. It's been given to you. It's a God-given gift, and it would be such a pity if you didn't use it. Thank you so much for listening.